Hey everyone! In a recent video we looked at how to body condition score dogs and cats. Given that it's Pet Obesity Awareness Month, today on B&G we're going to talk a bit more about obesity in pets. We'll discuss the risk factors for obesity in cats and dogs, along with some of the diseases obesity is associated with. Obesity is becoming increasingly prevalent around the world in humans and in pets. The two, unfortunately, go hand in hand, it would seem, at least with dogs, as some recent studies have shown that owner obesity is an important factor for their dogs to end up being overweight or obese. In a study by Linda et al., the authors identified a positive correlation between owners' body mass index, or BMI, and the body condition score of their dog. Another study by Suarez et al. Had similar findings, concluding that being an overweight dog owner was the most important factor in the occurrence of obesity in dogs in the Canary Islands. A European study also reported that dog owners who do not consider obesity to be a disease are more likely to have obese dogs. The prevalence of overweight or obesity ranges from between approximately 20 to 60% in dogs and 10 to 50% in cats, depending on the region studied, with more recent studies, as is the case with humans, showing an increase in such numbers over recent years. Broadly speaking, we can lump risk factors into the following categories: animal factors, owner factors, and environmental factors. As I mentioned before, an important risk factor for weight gain or obesity, in dogs at least, is the owner or pet parent being overweight. Let's start with some animal factors. Genetic risk, in other words, due to underlying genetic mutations, has been identified in Labradors and Golden Retrievers, along with Manx and domestic short-haired cats. Other factors include gender, neutering status, and middle age. Neutering status has long been known to be a risk factor for weight gain and subsequent obesity. This is due to a combination of decreased energy requirements following the neutering procedure, along with an increase in food consumption. While gonadectomy, or neutering, has been associated with a greater risk of being overweight, this risk is not influenced by the age at which neutering is performed. Interestingly, changes in gut microbiota and the production of short-chain fatty acids have recently been identified as either being involved in or part of the process of canine obesity after neutering. Clear negative correlations were found between short-chain fatty acid producing bacteria and body weight, triglycerides, and HDL-C. What this means is that intervention with short-chain fatty acid producing bacteria might represent a new target for the prevention or treatment of canine obesity after neutering. Next up, owner factors. Owner household income and exercise habits are among the risk factors that have been identified. Lastly, we have environmental factors. Amounts of physical activity, as is the case in humans, is a risk factor for weight gain. In dogs, reduced daily exercise has been associated with obesity, whereas in cats, limited or no outdoor activity has been linked to obesity. Diet and nutrition obviously also play a huge role in overweight and obesity in both people and pets. In dogs, high-fat diets are associated with overweight or obesity. Similarly, in cats, high dietary fat, but not carbohydrates, induces weight gain and a concurrent increase in insulin, and neutering in turn increases sensitivity to weight gain induced by dietary fat. Obesity is a major risk factor for the development of type 2 diabetes mellitus in people and in cats, but such an association hasn't been identified in dogs, although obesity does affect diabetic control in dogs with diabetes. Obesity has also been associated with an increased risk for a number of human cancers, particularly those involving the endometrium or part of the uterus, the colon, and the pancreas. Various mechanisms underlying this increased risk have been proposed, with increased insulin levels being one of them. While the studies in veterinary medicine are a bit more limited in this regard, there have been associations identified between obesity and cancer development in pets, with an example being canine mammary cancer. Unfortunately, the list doesn't end there. Other disease processes associated with obesity include the following: arthritis, endocrine dysfunction, specifically hypothyroidism and hypoadrenocorticism, although the link here is likely causal rather than a true association. Cruciate ligament rupture, lower urinary tract disease, oral disease, and pancreatitis. In addition to the above, other things to consider include the following: an increased anesthetic risk, reduced quality of life, and unfortunately, reduced lifespan. For 99.9% of pets, being overweight is harmful rather than helpful. In some older pets with specific medical conditions, it seems that being overweight may improve prognosis. This benefit is often referred to as the obesity paradox and has been identified in both cats and dogs. Take cats with congestive heart failure as an example. Cats with low body weights had shorter survival times compared to cats with moderate or high body weights. While being overweight or even mildly obese appears to have a protective effect once heart failure is present when compared with low body weights, it is important to point out that cats with the highest weights, in other words, those that are morbidly obese, tend to have the shortest survival times, the same as those with low body weights. Thanks for watching, and if you're keen to see more content like this, including some tips and tricks on how to get that stubborn weight off your furry friend, please watch this space and subscribe.